Hey guys, this is Jeff from Hubie's Garage, and just wanted to do a walk around on my John Deere lawn tractor, my S170. Kind of an unusual story, not a typical story that you'd see something like this end up in a small backyard of a track home, but this is what happened with me as far as ending up with this thing and buying it. And I'll just do a quick walk around with it and show you what it looks like today, and some pictures of what it looked like when I first got it. So, all right, so this is my John Deere S170 tractor, lawn tractor. I have been around lawn tractors since the age of 6. My great-grandfather had an old Sears Craftsman that they put me on when I was 6 years old, and had an old rope start and all that, forward and reverse. And then later on, they got me, when I was probably about 10 or 11, they got me a 10-horse Craftsman with headlights, 3 forward speeds, and a 36-inch dual blade cut. And, you know, I always wanted to get one after selling those two because I held on to them for quite a long time. I actually used them for my lawn business. And, you know, I started kind of looking around. We've got 27 acres of property in Montana, and started looking around and wanting to get a Deere, and you know, just to finally own one, and to get a nice one. And I ended up finding this one. This an unusual story. It ended up as a, so it ended up in a warehouse, and it's basically a warehouse that buys closeouts, damaged goods, stuff that doesn't sell, last year's models, that kind of stuff. So they sell, it's kind of a discount house. They got a lot of big industrial buildings like that. What this one was, is this one was at one point, as well as another one that they had, it was sitting out in front of a Lowe's, not necessarily knowing which one, but it was heavily vandalized. So what they ended up doing was they ended up cutting all the wiring harnesses. There's about 4 switches up underneath the dashboard, and they were all cut off. They had cut the fuel line. They had tried to cut the throttle, the steel cable throttle. They cut one of the PVC lines or vacuum lines. They had also cut the breather tube, the crankcase breather. They had cut the wires off the magneto, so the magnetos didn't have any plug wires on them. You notice this one doesn't have any boots on them because these were cut, and I bought new magnetos from John Deere. The power module, all these wires were cut. Everything down here, down in the main harness, all this was completely cut out and removed. The battery was stolen, taken, no battery cables. Battery cables were cut. They basically just had a big, large pair of dikes, and they just cut everything that was in their way. The only other thing was the front harness and the headlights. Those were untouched, but they had sliced the air stems that you could probably see, the carpet knife or X-Acto knife, where they sliced every single air stem on this thing. The air stems on the back. And one of the other things they did was they cut the seat. And the seats are very expensive, so I just opted for a camo seat cover. Went along real well with the Deere. Luckily, they didn't scratch any of the paint. They didn't do any damage to the hood, but I ended up spending about $480 worth of parts to get it back together. I bought the front bumper for it, which was an accessory. I bought a tractor cover for it, and I got everything all back together, and I went to start it and realized that they had cut the fuel line and the vapor recovery line. So I ended up having to get back into there. Unfortunately, it was the little 1/4-inch nipple where they cut this off, and there's a pickup tube that goes all the way to the bottom of the fuel tank, and that had been cut off also. So I ended up having to order the part from Deere. Luckily, John Deere is about, they're about an hour away from me out in the Inland Empire. And, got all the parts. So here was the deal. So this thing was advertised for $1,800. As is, it had no wires, you know, I mean, all the damage. It was no warranty, none of that stuff. And I went in there hoping to get it for about $800 to $1,000, because I started adding up all the parts. I went in there knowing how much it was going to cost. I had seen it, knew what it needed, and tallied everything up to where it would still come out a little bit less than what you would have paid for it brand new at Lowe's. So I asked them, and they went back into their office and they pulled out the file on this one, and they looked at everything, and based on what they paid, they said that they'd be willing to let it go for $500 plus tax. So as you can see from the hour meter, when I got it, it was a 0.3, or I'm sorry, yeah, a 0.3 hours, total hours. And yeah, so 500 plus tax, that ended up being about $550 is what I paid for it out the door. I went and got a little U-Haul utility trailer and took it home. Went to Deere, ordered the parts, had the parts in about 2 weeks. Thankfully, it was before all this shenanigans with supplies, you know, everything being back ordered. And got it running, and then ordered the fuel part for the fuel tank, and that took another couple of weeks. And got it all done, got it all running, ran like a champ. Not a thing wrong with it. And I took it, threw it in my toy hauler over there, and drove it out to Montana. And last year, 2021, we ended up cutting the 27 acres with it, and it did a great job. So anyway, so these things roll for about $3,200 new, and I've just barely got $1,000 into it. You can see it's got 5 hours and some change on it total. And you know, I believe it's a 2021. There's some differences on the grill area on these, but this is the second from the highest model that Lowe's sells. They have an S180 that they sell. It's more of a homeowner model. They do get into some of the bigger ones like the 240s and stuff like that. I did look at a couple of those, but this one just jumped out as far as what I knew the costs would be to get it together, and of purchasing it. My jaw kind of hit the floor when they told me $500, because I was expecting $800 to $1,000. So I ran to U-Haul and grabbed that trailer as quick as I could. And again, they had another one there too. I almost, you know, I had some friends out in Tennessee that could have used one, and thought about getting that second one and getting that one running. That one had some better items on it. The seat wasn't cut, the tire stems weren't cut, the harnesses weren't as bad, and they wanted $1,000 for that one, which still was a great deal. But you know, one was plenty, and it got me through what I need to do, and it's basically here for me to use. And primarily when I get a structure out there in Montana on my property, it'll stay out there permanently, and that's what it'll be doing, is taking care of the land every spring. The spring thaw, I'll be you know, maybe June, July, something like that. I'll cut before the fire season gets to, before they start announcing not to go cutting. So anyway, but yeah, so I noticed quite a few of the guys on the channels. A lot of guys have lawn tractors. A lot of guys have you know, some antique tractors. It's all cool stuff. I think all this stuff is cool stuff, and I just wanted to share mine with everybody. And you know, there are good deals out there, even with the lawn tractors. Yeah, so I'm not real sure why anybody would want to spend so much time vandalizing something like this. You know, something that's not there, something that somebody worked hard to build and took a lot of pride in what they built. You know, only to have somebody to just come along and do something that malicious and that you know, just really dastardly to do all that stuff. And you know, apparently it happens. I've talked to the people at Lowe's, and they have people that steal batteries all the time for these things, and they don't really care how they get them out. So this one, apparently somebody took some extra time with a carpet knife or whatever and went through it and just, you know, wanted to have some fun, and they thought that that was fun. And, you know, I don't. But, you know, it's sad for Lowe's. I mean, that's what drives our prices up. But that kind of stuff, you know, Lowe's ended up pushing it aside and selling it off to somebody at auction. And, you know, this family that runs this this facility, this discount warehouse, you know, they picked it up and you know, and now somebody like me comes along and fixes it and rebuilds it, and now I've got a nice tractor, and it's back out being used again. So I'm you know, thankful for the opportunity to be able to do that, and you know, and to get a good useful tractor out of it. But hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like the video, and I'd sure appreciate the subscribe. I just blown away at all the subscriptions that I've got already in the short time that I've had the channel, and I just thank every one of you. All right, well, have a great weekend, and thanks for watching.